the members of your delegation, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. My privilege this morning to welcome the Prime Minister Right Honorable Chris Luxon, on his first official visit to Fiji. We briefly spoke on the phone when I was in New Zealand on a private visit to attend to the badging of my grandson at Kelston High School in Auckland. As a family, very proud of that. And we spoke very briefly on the phone. I'm glad we did. We recognize the very deep historical and cultural and interpersonal connections that we share with New Zealand. And I speak from my own personal experience, having been a beneficiary of the cooperation that we have had all these years. I was trained under New Zealand funding, some of the best New Zealand officers in Waiouru, and also played sports in New Zealand in the 1970s. And I had the honor of being captain of the Fiji Commonwealth Games team when the Commonwealth Games in 1974 in Christchurch. Next year marks a significant milestone as we celebrate 55 years of diplomatic relations between Fiji and New Zealand. Notably, New Zealand is among the very first few countries to formalize their relationships with us in those years, and today we formalize our relationship and we continue to develop it. And also, since his arrival, we have been reaffirming our commitment to the Duavata partnership. And I keep reiterating the meaning of Duavata, the Fijian word Duavata is unity, which is also coming to maturity next year, with our officials reviewing the partnership with proposed high-level consultations, which are expected to be taken later this year. In our discussion earlier today, we affirmed our intention to pursue greater coordination in our respective foreign policy priorities at the bilateral, the regional, and multilateral arenas. We are both looking forward to the Pacific Islands Forum conference, and where we will continue to pursue our discussions. We are also including the major topic that everybody is talking about now, our cooperation in the trade area, investment area, universal concerns for climate change and disaster resilience, labor mobility of great importance to Fiji and New Zealand, security and defense, fisheries, agriculture and health, and the expansion of our cooperation into the common area of concern, which is international crime, particularly drugs and human trafficking. Both our governments are prioritizing sustainable and inclusive economic growth, and Fiji is very much indebted to New Zealand government and the people for their support that they have offered to Fiji over the years. Right now, we're still boasting that New Zealand is our largest trading partner in the Pacific, and that their contributions to Fiji's effort toward economic resilience will certainly continue to enhance our trade relations. Thank you very much for that, Prime Minister. I'm pleased that and your people. I'm pleased that the New Zealand Fiji Business Council delegation is in Fiji, and we will be meeting with them tomorrow. and then we'll go and watch some rugby. Good rugby. Interforce rugby. On labour mobility, our numbers have grown. It's over 900 under the recognized season employer RSE scheme, and we welcome New Zealand's commitment to further support in that initiative. In terms of security, Fiji values very much our partnership that has been instrumental in the monitoring and surveillance of our exclusive economic zone and the combating of traditional crimes, as I mentioned, particularly in drug theft trafficking. Later today, the Right Honourable Prime Minister will be visiting our dog unit, and we're cooperating in those areas. We also had the opportunity to discuss my vision for the Ocean of Peace and across the Blue Pacific continent. I look forward to discussing that further in our meeting in Tonga in August. And I hope to come to that, because you and I can solve the problems of the Pacific, as we did this morning. In our meeting, we reaffirmed that climate change remains the single and greatest threat to the livelihood, security, and well-being of the Pacific and its people. And we are committed to reducing global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius in line with our Paris Agreement commitments. And we understand very well our commitment to the just transition. We have to be reasonable as we continue to pursue that line of discussion with our partners. We discussed the importance of the international rules-based system, which has delivered peace and security to the Pacific region and beyond. And this morning I specifically mentioned New Zealand's role in the prevention of the militarization of the Pacific region and the Pacific nuclear-free zone that they introduced in the 70s, that we continue to, they continue and we continue to support. They continue to champion, we continue to support. We've had a very successful and productive discussion this morning, and I look forward to further informal discussions at the Fiji New Zealand Business Council and joint annual conference in Nandi later this year. Sorry, later this week. But later this year, I have been invited to address the Fijian community in Auckland, and I'll have to get clearance from the Prime Minister and government for me to informally visit runabout Fiji Day in October, and we were looking for an opportunity for us to meet again on your home territory, and perhaps that'll be a great opportunity to do that in October. Thank you very much.
Well, Bulavanaka, tēnā koutou katoa, kia ora, and good morning, everybody. And we've had a wonderful visit here to Fiji, and we're only halfway through. And I just want to say to Prime Minister Rambuka, thank you so much for your hospitality. I spoke to you last night and said, from our arrival from the plane, the time that we had together, the very formal Sevu Sevu ceremony last night was very, very special, and thank you for bestowing that honour on us. And then we had a lovely dinner with our wives together last night, which was great fun as well. I managed to avoid a lot of abuse coming at me from the Fijian Drua and the Crusaders being out of the playoffs for the first time in 8 years, but beyond that minor diplomatic incident, things have gone quite well, I'd say, on this visit so far. I just want to say then this morning we've obviously had a visit to Tower Insurance, which is a great example of more of what we want to see between our two countries. I called on the President, and then we had a wonderful bilateral with our teams this morning as well. I just want to say that during my conversation with Prime Minister Rambuka, I was very pleased to announce that the New Zealand Cabinet has agreed to lift transit visa requirements for Fijians travelling through New Zealand. And instead, Fijian nationals will be able to transit via New Zealand with our standard transit NZ ETA. New Zealand, as you know, is a significant transit hub for Pacific travellers, including Fijians, and the removal of those requirements will significantly reduce the barriers for regional travel, facilitating regional integration and reducing the barriers for businesses in other Pacific countries, many of whom rely on Fijian labour and connections. And it will also make it much easier for Fijian nationals to transit via New Zealand to reach other destinations much further afield as well. I just want to say we're also very delighted jointly to announce that we do see a great pathway forward between our two countries, and that requires more economic development between our two countries. We already, from New Zealand's perspective, Fiji is a significant trading partner for us. It's our 24th biggest trading partner. We do $1.4 billion worth of two-way trade, and together we have declared and asked our countries to strive to deliver $2 billion worth of trade by 2030. And that's why it's so exciting to have the Fiji-New Zealand Business Councils with us on this journey, because having spent time with them last night, you could see the enthusiasm that they have for developing their economic relationship much, much further as well. And to see an incredible business like we saw this morning with Tower Insurance, actually, that is trailblazing, a world-class organisation here in Suva, with partnering a New Zealand company doing a great job, a great business, 300 employees doing fantastic work, was more of what we want to see as a result. So I just want to say to the Prime Minister, thank you again for the friendship, thank you for the partnership. Together we have two great countries with huge amounts of potential, and I know we're going to do great work together in the Pacific. And really thank you for your leadership, for the wisdom, and thank you for being such wonderful hosts here as well. I appreciate it.
Honourable Prime Ministers, time for questions. Can you kindly introduce your name and the organisation you represent, and we have the microphone for the audience who are watching this on live stream from Fiji government.
You hearing that?
Yeah, Jamie Insel from New South Wales, New Zealand. Prime Minister Ramboka, you have called for a push of peace. New Zealand is currently exploring the idea of joining AUKUS Pillar 2. How does Fiji feel about New Zealand looking at Pillar 2?
At which?
Looking at Pillar 2 of the AUKUS agreement, how does Fiji feel about New Zealand looking at the second pillar of AUKUS? Of the AUKUS agreement.
Can you elaborate?
Yeah.
New Zealand is looking at the second pillar of AUKUS about advanced technologies. How does Fiji feel about that?
Well, we will be beneficiaries. Any development in that area will also benefit us. So we're looking at it very, very supportively and objectively, and we will continue to liaise and on a bilateral level in our approach to those multinational issues, particularly those that are affecting the region. And that's the way we have done. We've dealt with our past issues, and we will continue to do that.
And as you well know, I mean, what we're doing from our government's point of view is the continuation of the previous administration in New Zealand, which is to say, yes, we're open to exploring New Zealand involvement in AUKUS Pillar 2. I think we've got a long way to go, but certainly our officials will start that conversation with the AUKUS countries and that alliance agreement. Yeah.
Thank you. We have a question from the local media. Yes, Fiji Village.
Yes, hi, this is Rashika from Fiji Village. Fiji has been used as a transit area for transporting drugs and for human trafficking as well to New Zealand and Australia. So what sort of assistance or what sort of cooperation can people expect in this regard to fight the issue both in Fiji and stopping it as a transitional point for New Zealand?
Yeah, look, thank you for the question. It's a very good question because we did spend time talking about that this morning in our bilateral. It's of concern to both of us as leaders of our countries to see the impact of drugs on our people. And so we already have some good work that's been happening with respect to New Zealand police working very closely with Fijian police here. But we're both very, very attuned to actually making sure we have very good customs control, good border control, making sure that we share insights and intelligence around what is happening together, and certainly having our police forces integrated and working on that challenge is a key one. It is a big challenge, and there are forces outside of the Pacific that are contributing to that, and we need to stand and work together on what is a really tough and complex problem. But I have no doubt about both of our determinations to be able to push back very strongly on that.
Can we see increased cooperation in that regard?
Sorry?
Can we see an increased cooperation in that regard?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's in both of our mutual interests to make sure that we push back very, very strongly on that situation, and it's something we just do not want to see forced on our people.
Mr. Prime Minister, can also answer
Can we, Prime Minister, sir, you want to add something?
Just that in our discussions this morning, the rehabilitation of drug users came up. They way ahead of us in that area in New Zealand, while we are just beginning to think about how we establish our own rehabilitation thing. On Tuesday, Cabinet, we agreed with the various, first of all, the strategy on anti-drugs and narcotics fight, and also the strategy, and also the setting up of the actual machinery to pursue the development of those strategies. It is a big problem. Fortunately or unfortunately, we had a big discovery a few weeks ago of a big, very big. It amounts to how many years demand?
I think a year's supply of drugs into what Australia consumes in a year.
And they've even come up with the way they are dealing with finding out geographic areas of the use of this, using wastewater testing. They test the wastewater to find out the drug content in wastewater, and maybe we'll be benefiting from that technology as we develop our own strategy here in Fiji.
Thank you, sir. The gentleman.
Hi, Prime Minister. Adam Hess from the New Zealand Herald. I was interested by your thoughts or your position on the visa on arrival aspect in the joint statement. Why do you think that is warranted or fair for Fijian nationals to have that visa on arrival capacity? And perhaps Prime Minister Luxon, can you explain why New Zealand hasn't gone as far as to grant those wishes?
Yeah, sure.
Well, from our point of view, we all know that ever since our colonial days, New Zealand has been a major development and cultural development partner. And a lot of people need to go to New Zealand for education and also to move on to the rest of the world. Now they made it a lot easier for us with the transit changes, transit visa requirements that will no longer be there. So we're very grateful for that development from the New Zealand government point of view, and we're thankful to you.
Yeah. Can I just say on that, the transit visa removal was a major irritant. It was something we had heard very loud and clear since our government had come to power. It was very important to me that we actually did remove that because, many Fijians transit to other parts of the world to do business around the world through Auckland, and we need to make that much more seamless, much easier to be able to do. And that will certainly solve that problem. The second issue is one around visitor visas, which I think you were alluding to as well. And we've heard that issue. That has also got some complexity to it as we think about the broader set of immigration settings in New Zealand. But we are committed to reviewing that situation. And both Winston Peters and myself have taken that on board. That may take us a bit of time to work through, so I don't want to raise expectations, but we've certainly heard the concerns. We certainly understand it's a complex issue, and we certainly will continue to review that situation.
I think that's a very important statement. We do not want to raise expectations.
First one. Time for one more question.
Thank you very much. Jason Walls from News Talk ZB over in New Zealand. Just on the situation in New Caledonia, I'd be quite interested in your perspective on that in terms of, Prime Minister, where do you think New Zealand's obligations lie when it comes to the unrest there, and where the Pacific Island Forum fits into that as well? We know that the French president has visited New Caledonia, but what more can the Pacific players be doing in that region?
Well, we share our concern as regional powers or regional participants we were very concerned about the outbreak of the violence. Our approach, Fiji's approach to that has always been one of respect of sovereignty. In this case, also the observance of the various conventions and arrangements that are already in place in international fora, particularly the United Nations decolonization process, which we expect the bigger nations to respect. And for us as a regional partner in the Pacific Islands Forum, with New Caledonia being a Melanesian country, there's a lot of weight on the Melanesian leaders to participate in that. In my own role, I'm going to be chairing the Melanesian Spearhead Group of leaders for the next 2 years or so, and I'm very concerned about our Melanesian kinsmen in New Caledonia. We had worked with their Melanesian population in the past and the leadership, and we would like to have a peaceful and workable resolution to the situation. And we really do not want to lose France as a partner in the Pacific. They have been part of the Pacific. They have their own territories in the Pacific, and obviously some of them may have to go through their negotiation processes. So for us, we're grateful that New Zealand assisted us to the repatriation of citizens, and Australia also. They came back to Fiji via Australia. So we will continue to respect the sovereignty, and New Caledonia being a territory, French territory. A lot of those problems going on around the world. We are still trying to deal with the Taiwan PRC problem, but they're saying that that's part of our territory. So, and some of us are friends with both. Most of us are friends with both. What's your view on
Look,
that?
I think Prime Minister, was something I did talk to him at length about last night and also again this morning, because I do respect his leadership in the region. And as he takes on the chairmanship of the Melanesian Spearhead Group, and also as a senior leader in PIF, I think that is a really important vehicle as well. All of us, are united in the sense of we want calm. Obviously it's an issue for the New Caledonian people to resolve their own future. But what we really need to see is dialogue between the two parties, and so how can we as Pacific Island leaders actually help facilitate and actually be involved with that. We've talked a lot about the centrality of PIF, as you've heard me talk about before. It's very important that there are regional solutions to regional challenges, and so certainly I think with someone like the Prime Minister standing certainly in PIF and also in the Melanesian Spearhead Group, I think that is the right pathway forward. We've got to be able to encourage the parties back to dialogue to find a solution that works for the New Caledonia.